You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Speaking of taking advantage, Iowa has a chance to take advantage of Vanderbilt's offense without Eli Stowers. So the question is for Vanderbilt, how do they function? Like that's the key question when Diego Pavia in this offense takes the field, because Diego Pavia has a lot to prove in this game, but he's going to have to do it without Eli Stowers. So can he shift? Because in the NFL, if he gets a chance to play in the NFL, guys are going to get hurt. He may go in with different rotations in the preseason. If he's trying to make a ball club, he's going to have to go in with different sets of receivers, different personnel groups and things like that. Other guys that are trying to make the team, and the chemistry is not going to be there. So how does he function without his security blanket in Eli Stowers? And that question is simple, but it's not easy. Okay. It's simple, but it's not easy. Obviously it's simple because, hey, let's just run more with Cedric Alexander and MK Young. Let's focus on Trey Richardson and Junior Sherrill more. Let's get Bryson Coleman integrated into the game. If we want to go 12 personnel, we can go Bryson Coleman and Cole Spence. If not, get Cole Spence. He's a better inline blocker. There's a lot of options, and it's pretty simple, but it's not easy to do because I think Iowa's defense is going to play that, because the void that Eli Stowers leaves in the middle of the field and the things that he does, especially on third down, Iowa's defense knows that doesn't exist for Vanderbilt. And they know that this security blanket does not exist for Diego Pavia. So they're going to try to take advantage of that. And they're going to try to roll their coverages. They're going to try to get extra pressure on Pavia to force him to make a decision that normally he goes to Stowers, but now he's going to have other options. So it's not natural to him. I mean, obviously they've been working on it in practice, I'm sure. But again, still when the heat is on, those aren't natural things, right? And so he's just going to have to get used to Cole Spence maybe being that guy. Bryson Coleman maybe being that guy who he hasn't thrown too much this season. Junior Sherrill's going to have to step up a little bit better. Trey Richardson, they're going to have to figure out ways to feature him more, because I think outside of Eli Stowers, he was probably the second most featured pass catcher in this offense as far as running jet sweeps, screens, shot plays down the field, things like that. With Trey Richardson, I think you run into all of that stuff with this offense. That, hey, maybe you unlock that Jared Curtis chapter of this playbook, and you see what guys fit in different roles with that. And Diego Pavia is going to be your passer, and maybe they carve out a role for Blaze Berlowitz to get him some looks. As far as his quarterback competition goes, maybe get him some live looks in the game as well. I don't know if they're going to do that. That's another story for another day. But winning the game is first and foremost. So they're going to play the starters, the normal starters, as long as possible. If they can get some extra guys in, they're going to do so. But they're not going to do it at the expense of a victory here, because they want to get to 11 wins for Vanderbilt is very key in this scenario. Maybe years later, hopefully they get to a point where it's not, but as of right now, getting to that 11th win is paramount. So, but you're going to have to do things a little differently. You're going to have to run the ball a lot more, which you're capable of, because your offensive line is pretty talented. They were a Joe Moore Award semifinalist. They didn't make it to the finalist list, but they were a semifinalist, just barely missing the cut there. And they've got an NFL center who's I think going to be somebody that's featured on day 2 of the NFL draft, if you want my honest opinion on Jordan White. But they're just going to have to feed Cedric Alexander more, MK Young more, which are going to be key pieces to this offense if you're trying to. And this is presuming that Jared Curtis wins the job, which, for all practical purposes, I think he will. So if you have a true freshman quarterback, you're going to have a run game to lean on. And featuring SETI, featuring MK is going to be the thing to do. And having some easy throws built in to get Diego into a rhythm to where he's not trying to play hero ball, because that's a concern of mine, is Diego going out there and trying to play hero ball because of everything that's happened, and he wants to put the game on his back. Like, he's a ultra competitive guy. that's the thing that you worry about with him, because when he plays in that mode, he almost goes too far and he ends up getting careless with the ball, getting reckless with the ball, and ends up turning it over like he did in the Alabama game. So if he stays within himself and plays his game, this should be a pretty comfortable win for Vanderbilt. But if he doesn't, that's where it gets trouble, and that's where the advantage would then swing into Iowa's favor. So it's just getting involved in those other weapons. Trey Richardson is going to be the most featured piece in the passing game for this offense. They're going to find ways to get him the ball. They're going to put him in similar routes and similar positions that they once put Eli Stowers in. They're just going to do it from a different angle. They're going to be able to accomplish a lot of similar things with Trey Richardson because he's a dynamic piece to this offense, and he's going to be somebody that I think is going to be featured heavily in the pass game outside of what you're going to see in the run game with Alexander and Young and some of the other running backs that may get into the rotation as well. So look for that. Look for Trey Richardson. That's probably the key piece. I think Junior Sherrill is going to get an uptick in production based on the targets that are lost from Eli Stowers. I think are going to be split, probably a 60-40, 65-35 split between Richardson and Junior Sherrill. As far as that goes. So I'm excited to see what this offense does. I'm curious to see what Tim Beck does without Stowers. That's a massive piece that's gone. And you're just going to have to do things a little bit differently. How does Diego Pavia adjust? I can't wait to see that. And that's going to be the biggest question. I think he'll adjust just fine. I don't see any issues there as far as him being able to adjust. It's just going out there and executing it. It may be a little bit slow at the start, but it could be something that he could just kind of settle into and say, okay, well, now I'm in a rhythm. We're good to go. It might be a little rocky the first couple series, but then he'll get but with the layoff and the missing Eli Stowers piece, it'll be rocky at the start, but he'll be able to get ingrained into the offense. No problem whatsoever. If you're an everydayer, why not take the next step? Why not upgrade yourself? Because right here at lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer, you can join the Everydayer Club, or you can go to lockedonvandy.supercast.com, and that'll get you right to where you want to go. If you go to the link that's on the screen, you'll have to search a little bit, but if you go to lockedonvandy.supercast.com, you can get there right away. You can be an Everydayer Club member. You get access to ad-free audio, which is phenomenal if you're driving around and you don't like to listen to ads. And you get exclusive members only access to the Discord channel. And there's a lot of other things you get as well. On the video side, there's a list of perks that you get with the Everydayer Club. So make sure you sign up. $5 a month, $50 a year, whichever option you choose. It's the way to go if you want those perks and you want to be able to chance to interact with Locked On hosts and other members of the Everydayer Club. So make sure you join that and make sure you take advantage.